Hi. I just had my IIM Bodhgaya interview, and the interview basically ended like half an hour ago. So this video is basically just is going to be about how that interview went and everything. So yeah, let's get right into it. So for those of you who don't know, the this year the IIM Bodhgaya and IIM Jammu interviews happen through the SAP round. The SAP round is basically the supplementary admission process, which happens after the cap round. So if you don't make the cut in the cap round, the SAP round is where you get another chance, basically, if they shortlist you, that is. My slot was the morning one. That is, my reporting time was 9:30, and the number that was given to me was the fourth one. So I was to go in as the fourth interviewee. Now, the thing is, in the interview, in the other interviews I've given, they basically give you a time frame, right? Like you are to wait for about 20 minutes per candidate, so you can estimate your time, or like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. They basically tell you beforehand. That was not done here, so that kind of became a problem, and not really a big one, but like, a minor thing happened is that I had anticipated taking a buffer time of about 15 minutes per candidate. So my interview by that logic, should have happened after an hour, or within that time frame. But much to my surprise, the interviewers were on my screen just out of the blue, in like after 50 minutes or so. I think less than that. So that caught me off guard, obviously, and I had to kind of rush to my seat, which is basically where I'm sitting right now. And unlike all the other interviews where the first question is introduce yourself or something like that, the first question that was posed to me because of that fiasco was, why are you out of breath? So yeah, that happened, to which I gave my reason. And then I was asked to take a couple of breaths, which I did. And yeah, after that, he was like, can we start now? I was like, sure, so why not? So the first question he asked me as to is was, what are you doing right now? To which I answered that I've been preparing for CAT for the past couple of months, basically. And then his next question was, just give me a second. I'll just look through the list of questions I've prepared. I've written it down. Right. So there were two panelists, by the way. Both were middle-aged, and the first panelist took over. And the first question I told you, why are you out of breath and all that, and then what are you doing right now? After that, why did you like? My background is economics honors, right? So he asked me, why did you not pursue a master's degree in economics? To which I gave my answer. And the reason, basically, for you to understand the context, was basically that I did pursue my master's degree as a distance course, but that was back in the pandemic days. And I didn't feel like it was worthwhile enough for me to continue it. So I dropped out after a year. So the next question was a follow up on this one, as to that since now things are back to normal, why are you not pursuing a master's degree now? To which I gave the answer that I've assessed my the syllabus of an MBA course, and I've found that there are many overlapping subjects with economics. So I won't be missing out on anything. I will be in touch with my undergrad subject, as well as this opens up more opportunities for me. So he seemed to be satisfied with that answer. The next question, this wasn't a question, but this was an extempore topic, which I was not expecting, by the way. Like it wasn't mentioned anywhere, nor was I told that there would be extempore topics being given out. So he was like, since you are from economics background, the extempore topic I'm going to be giving you is good economics means good politics. And he gave me 10 seconds to think on it. And I was asked to speak for about a minute and a half. So I took my 10 seconds to kind of get more time in a way. I kind of asked him to repeat the topic after 10 seconds. So basically, I took 20 seconds. I don't recommend you do that, but I needed some time to organize my thoughts. So I did that. And then I spoke for about 2 minutes, I guess. Then the next question was, which is your favorite subject out of your undergrad subjects? So I gave the answer. And then his last question from the first panelist was, give some recent news around India that will have an impact on the India's economy in the future. To which I basically answered that how the fiscal deficit is an all-time high of 6.9%, which is unmanageable. So they're trying to bring it down to 4.5%, something which was mentioned in the budget as well. And then the coronavirus pandemic and how the economy contracted by 6%. So I mentioned these two topics. Now this is when the second panelist took over. And the first question he asked me was define demand, to which I gave, this is a very basic economics answer question. So most of you who've studied economics would know the answer to this. Now this is where it gets interesting. He gave me a very interesting case study. The question to which was that the demand in the automobile industry is low these days. And it turns out that's why he had built it up by asking me the first question as to what is demand. So the case study was that the demand in the automobile industry is low. And even then, this company, this automobile company, Maruti, is setting up a 900-acre plant in Sonipat, whereas the existing one, the one that they already have, is only 300 acres. So is it not nonsensical from your perspective that even though there is no demand right now, they're increasing the supply, and that too by a major factor? So, I mean, I couldn't really think it through at the moment. So the answer I gave him was like, even if the demand is not there in an industry as big as the automobile industry isn't going to go belly up in like 2 years. So I basically said that they can stack it up as inventory, and that actually, now that now that I know what the answer he was looking for, is not the wrong answer. It's actually true that they do stack it up as inventory, so that when the demand is back in the market, they can obviously release those um, inventorized products. But the answer he was looking for was that the basic microeconomics tells us that when the supply is high and the demand is low, the prices fall of any commodity. So I kind of said this to him, but I gave the analogy of currency. Like if the supply of currency is increased in the market and the demand is not there, inflation happens. And yeah, so basically the answer he wanted was that if the supply is increased and the demand is not there, the prices would fall. The next question he asked me was, what is Hernefall index? The name was so ambiguous to me, I couldn't even properly catch it. Which I obviously answered. Like, he said that you're an economist, right? So you should know this. I was like, sir, in the 3 years of undergrad that I've studied, I've never come across this term. I'm sorry to say that. He was like, that's fine, no problem. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't know what that is, by the way, Hernefall index. So if anyone of you do know, just ping that in the comments. The question after that was, how do you know that there is competition in the market? So basically, I what he was asking for is what is monopolistic competition. So I just gave the word that is basically when there is monopolistic competition. So he said that you're just naming it out. How do you know that there is monopolistic competition? Then I explained what are the characteristics. I gave the example of the soap industry, for instance, as to how some soaps are, herbal based, some are chemical based, and people have different preferences. And he seemed to be satisfied with my answer. And yeah, this was pretty much the last question from the second interviewer. And after that, he said, "You may log out now. I think we're done." And yeah, all the best. So this is how my IIM Bodhgaya interview went, and this was a SAP round. So the assessment for Bodhgaya and Jammu will happen through this one interview itself. How do I feel about the interview? I'm not gonna say anything at the moment because there were a few mishaps here and there that should not have happened, but it did anyway. But yeah, I mean, I was expecting questions of this sort since it is an IIM, obviously, so they'll be asking some good level questions. And it was a decent experience, I suppose. A couple of takeaways for you would be that see, the thing is that when they ask you to wait in the waiting room, right? When like if in these online interviews, you can't be just sitting on your chair for the entire 2 hours, 1 hours, and some people even have to sit for 3 hours. So you obviously move around in your room a bit, but um, it's better to be prepared as to not be caught off guard as I was in the beginning. Like they didn't take any offense to it, but they were not too happy about it either. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. Apart from that, this was heavily inclined towards my background, which is economics. They asked me a lot of questions, a lot of case study, different questions. So you need to be well prepared for that as well. And yeah, like I mentioned, the interview has just happened. I I'm not in a position to give a verdict as to how I feel it went. I guess I'll find out in about a month's time, right? So yeah, if you have any question regarding the SAP process or the CAP process for that matter, you just ask me in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And all the best for to any of you who have your SAP interviews coming up. And yeah, thank you. Bye bye.